Hello and welcome to our program. I'm your host, Katie Jones, and today we're going to be making a snow globe craft. Let's get started by talking about what supplies you need for this project. You're going to want to use a laminator and laminating sheets, or contact paper or self-laminating sheets also work really well. You also need white acrylic paint and a paintbrush, and then you want to use a Q-tip or your fingertips will work. And then you need glitter, which is optional. And then photos. It can be photos that you just print out, or you can make copies of old photos like I did, and you'll see that in a minute. And then you also need scissors, and you can use scissors or an X-Acto knife and cutting board. You might want both. And then you need a hole punch, ribbon, a marker. I like the little skinny ones, the fine point ones, and then cardstock. Okay, let's get started. So I printed out a laminated photo snow globe template. You can look it up. There's plenty online. You just want a nice little template, and I think this was like craftymorning.com. It was like a free template. So I just found it, and it was on Pinterest, and I really liked it. So that's a really good one to use. Today our snow globe is going to be a clear one. I made it into an ornament, but there's also some freestanding ones that you can print out and make. So there's a lot of different options, but this is what we're doing today. So I printed out the little template, and now I'm ready to get started. So I just cut it out already. So just take your scissors, go around the edges, and you'll have your shapes that you need to use. So now I'm going to go ahead and get my base ready. So I'm just going to take and cut it out. And what I did, I just kind of like lined it up. You can always trace it, or I just kind of held them together and traced along all the edges. And you can use an X-Acto knife. You can also, if you don't want to print out the template, it's just a circle and then this little base. So if you want to freehand it, it's pretty simple to do just by hand. So I just like this one. And then like I said, there's a lot of different options. So if you want to just go on and have this one, it's kind of like a freestanding one that you can put on your tabletop or on the mantle. It looks really great. Because it is 3D, I did have this moment where I was thinking about how would I store this and put it away for years to come. It would get squished most likely. So I opted not to do that one this time. But it is a great option. It looks pretty simple and easy to make. So I'm just going to cut it out. And you can see that's ready to go. Okay, so that's perfect. I'm just going to clear up my workspace a little bit. And now what I'm going to do is I have my laminating sheets. And today I do have a little laminator. It was really reasonably priced. They have them on all of the big websites or the craft stores. You can look for a deal or use a coupon. And I'm telling you, I use mine for a lot of different projects. So it's definitely a good investment. So now I'm going to take, and I have my circle already cut out, and I'm just going to put it underneath, and so you can see where you're going to want to paint. So I have my white paint. Today it's like a pearlized color, but you can also use just the flat white, or there's like Snow White or whatever. They call it cute little names. So I'm just going to give it a little shake, and I'm going to use my paintbrush. So shook it up, take the top off, and I got a little glob. Just going to clean that up. And I'm just going to take the paint from the top of the cap because I don't want it to be super thick. Because it's going to go in there, we have to let it dry completely before we can laminate it. Otherwise, it'll get that air inside, and we do not want that. So I just have this laid down. I want to keep it pretty still. And now I'm just going to paint my snow on there. So I'm going to go along the edges at the bottom. And then I'm just freehanding it. You can always take a marker and draw it out, or just go to town and make it the shape you want. If you end up going over, you can always take a Q-tip and take it off, because you just want it to be that nice snow globe shape, so that once you're done, it looks really nice. Nice and crisp. So I'm just doing like a really thin layer, like I said. I'll let it dry, and then I'll go over it again, maybe even 3 times, just depending on how it's looking. If you use the regular flat white, it'll probably only take 2 times, but because this is pearlized, it's a little bit thinner, and it takes a few more times. And I'm just kind of making like a nice little like snow shape. Boop. So that looks really good. Okay, so I'll let that dry. So I'll put my brush to the side. You can always put it in the fridge while you wait for it to finish drying. The fridge will keep it nice and fresh so that your bristles don't dry out. And then you can just use it again to do your second and third coats. So now I'm using my Q-tip and I just dabbed it in here. Again, if littles want to use their fingertips, that might be fun. It's a cute little activity for them. You can always take and like tape this circle to the back of it while you're doing this part, in case you're worried it'll move around. Just tape it and then take it off before you laminate. It's a great option. So now I'm just putting some little snow dots around, so it looks like it's snowing. Super cute. Okay, I'm happy with that. So I'm gonna put this to the side, and again, you can put this in the fridge and then put another coat on. So this is what it looks like. There you go. That's what it looks like right now. So it definitely will need at least 1, probably 2 more coats. So while that is starting to dry, I'm just gonna set it to the side, and I'm gonna cut my picture out. So I had some old photos of when I was a baby with my sister. So I just made a photocopy, and I've already cut it out. I used an X-Acto knife on a cutting board, or you can just print one off if you have your photos digitized and just print it out to size. This was just a normal 4x6 picture, and it's going to fit in there nicely, but you might have to resize it based on your ornament or whatever type of snow globe you're making. So I already cut it out. That's ready to go for me. And then I did also already have one made, because it did take several coats, and I wanted it to be dry to do this program. So that's already ready for me. If you've done acrylics before, you know that you can use a hairdryer to kind of dry the acrylic faster. I don't recommend this with this type of project because the heat will activate the thermal coating on the laminating sheets. So, would not recommend. Just let it air dry, and that'll be great. I'm not going to use glitter today, but you could just sprinkle some glitter in, and that's always a super great option. So, this is already ready for me. I have my picture, so I'm just gonna like set that where I want it to go. And then now I do need to get this straight, my little bottom to my snow globe. So I'm just gonna take my circle and I'm gonna figure out where I want it to line up so that it looks real. And I'm just going to trace it. And I think that'll look nice. And now I'm just going to cut it out with my scissors. Boom. And now I'm going to write something on here. I wrote Winter Wonderland on my example. For this one, I might write my sister's name, which is Shelly. And then my name. And even know, but I think that's a good guess. And then you can always make that cute by using metallic markers or adding some more embellishments, use gold, whatever makes you happy. And then you can take glue, like Elmer's glue or whatever, a glue stick, and glue it down. Or I think that I can hold it pretty well, so I'm just going to place it on here. If you're doing it with little kids, I would recommend go ahead and gluing it down. But I think I have a handle on it today. You can always take and cut this in half and make two, but for today's purposes, I'm just going to make the one, and that one wiggled. So I'm just going to hold it in place. I'm just going to hold it down, and now I'm ready to carefully pick it up. My laminator is already heated up and ready. They come with options to have a cool setting or a hot setting, or cold and hot, sorry. So I have it on the hot setting, and now I'm just going to get it ready to laminate. So I'm just being very careful, lining it up, and now I'm going to let it do its magic. You kind of line it up and then it feeds it through. And you just let it do its thing. And you can do it again with contact paper, or with my example, I use the self-laminating sheets, and they pretty much work the same way. You just kind of do it, and they're pretty cheap at any store that you find laminating materials, and you just pull off the sheet, and then this is all sticky. So you would want to use a ruler and kind of make sure you're getting all the air bubbles out as you're going, but that's a great option, and it's super sturdy. So I love that. Okay, so this is almost done. This is so cute. I'm obsessed. This is such a good keepsake. And you can take pictures of your kids jumping up and down or doing, fun little tricks outside. So it's all ready. I'm going to go ahead and cut some of the excess lamination off. And then I'm going to cut it to shape. So I'm just going to go ahead and you can always line this up to make sure. I might kind of hold it in place. And then you want to make sure you have a little bit of a lip around the cardstock, because otherwise it might open up. So you just want to make sure you give it a little bit of room, because you want it to stay nice forever. So I'm just kind of lining it up, and then it's probably a couple millimeters out. I'm just cutting along that edge. Again, you can tape it on there if your littles are helping you do this. Just tape that template on so that they know kind of a direction of where they're going. And you can always trace it on there. I wanted more of the transparent look, like a glass globe, but I think that's good. You can always do this with your X-Acto knife also. And then always remember to use a cutting mat with your X-Acto knife or something to protect your workspace. I love all the options there are to make snow globes. You can take and use, clear plates, or like I said, the freestanding ones. It's just so fun for kids to be able to do that. Hopefully we get some snow this year. We can play in it outside. Alright. Almost there. Just making sure I'm cutting along all my edges. And you kind of want to make sure they're kind of rounded so that it's not too sharp. Alright, so that's what it looks like. And then now I'm just going to take my hole punch and line it up. It is kind of hard, so you might need adult help with that one because it is pretty thick. And then I'm just going to take my ribbon, and I want to do a bow, so it's about like 10 to 12 inches. And you can use festive ribbon or whatever. You might need a little bit more, but you actually will need more than 12 inches. That's okay. It'll be a little baby bow. Alright, so now I'm just going to tie it off. And, well, there we go. Pretty! It's so fun. So that's your finished project. I hope that you enjoy making this snow globe craft. Feel free to share pictures on social media. As always, you can like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram or Twitter, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more programs like this. Have a good one.